What is up, you guys? In today's video, I'm gonna walk you through the step-by-step process that I use anytime that I've ever gotten in a sales slump to get out of that slump and start getting some sales again, back on track inside of my business. Let's dive in. All right, well, welcome back as always. Glad that you're here. In today's video, I want to talk to you specifically in your woodworking, your handmade business, or whatever it might be, whatever business you might have. This video is going to transcend just the woodworking niche. And so I want to talk to you about how to get out of a sales slump. Listen, if you're a business owner, if you're a sales rep, you will have slumps. Batters in the major leagues, they have slumps where they can't hit. They'll go 10, 20 games where they don't do well. And so how do you get out of those slumps? Because what happens is if you are in a slump is that it's just a negative feedback loop. It's a negative cycle. You don't feel confident, therefore you don't hit well. And you don't hit well, therefore you don't feel confident. And it just kind of perpetuates this negative cycle. And so you've got to figure out, how do I get out of this negative cycle and create a positive cycle where I do hit well, it makes me feel more confident, and then I hit better, makes me feel even more confident, so on and so forth. Same with sales. And so there's a couple quotes that I want to share with you just real quick to help you kind of change your mindset around selling when you're in a slump. And so number one, when the whole world is contracting, expand. Right now, we're in 2024. It's an election year. There's a lot of economic uncertainty. People are afraid. When people are afraid, when the world is contracting, when it's constricting, the people that are willing to put themselves out there more, willing to push harder, willing to expand, they're the ones that are really going to stand out. And so when the whole world is contracting, focus on expanding. The second thing that I would just share with you, quick quote, is just when everyone is afraid, act courageously. This doesn't mean make unwise financial decisions. This doesn't mean be foolish, but it does mean make sure that you're not following the sheep. You're not following everybody when they're afraid. Listen, if you do the exact opposite of the masses, you will most likely always come out ahead. So just be aware of the fact that it's very easy to contract when everyone else is contracting. It's very easy to feel afraid when everyone else is afraid. It's very easy to let the economic forecasts from CNN or Fox News tell you why, businesses are destined to fail, and for you to believe it. So you can't do that. You have to make sure that you are acting courageously, that you're expanding when everybody else is contracting. Okay, so I've got 6 points for you today, 6 things to think about when it comes to getting out of a sales slump. So number one is to get back to the basics. Now, this is so critical, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to share a quick story with you. So when I was 23 years old, I moved to Longview, Texas to pursue my wife. She was from here. I was from Arkansas, moved down here and was looking for a job. I was fresh out of college. I'd done some missions work overseas and was needing a job, and my degree was really specialized. There were no jobs available for my degree, and so I was presented an opportunity with a sales job at a car dealership. I was like, okay, I need to make money. I've got a little bit of student debt that I need to pay off. So I took the job, and as a 23-year-old, this was on a team of like 14 or 15 sales guys. This is my second month there. I was salesman of the month. I sold like 16 cars and over $10,000 of commissions my second month there. And this was mind blowing. Like, I had gotten out of college and I was just like, man, if I could make, 30 grand a year, I'll be set. I'll be fired up, right? So number one, this unlocked a lot of things in me of what I realized was possible. But what happened the longer that I stayed there is that I actually went through a sales slump. And the reason being was that because I overtrained and overtaught myself. I had gotten away from the basics and I started trying to get smart. I started trying to figure things out instead of just doing the basics. In the automotive industry, for example, there's a lot of just bad assumptions that salespeople make. They'll, look at somebody pull up on the lot to buy a vehicle and they'll look at what they're wearing, look at what they're driving, and they'll try to make assumptions whether they can buy or they can't buy, and if it's a waste of time or if it's not a waste of time. And so I had started doing that later on when I got into a slump. So I was like, okay, quit assuming anything about anybody and just work every deal to the fullest. Okay. And so when I started doing that, I started selling again, and I got better and better and better to where I was consistently always competing for salesman of the month again. And so number one is just get back to the basics. Get back to the basics of what you do, how you do it. When you look at the times that you've been selling the most, look at why that is. Why am I selling the most during this season? What am I doing that's working? And how can I just repeat that again and again and again? Okay, number two is to calm your nerves. Now, this is one of those things that you might be like, whatever, Zach, this doesn't apply to me. But here's the reality is that the more emotional you are, the less rational you are. When you act out of emotion, generally speaking, you are less rational as a whole. Very few people make really sound decisions when they're highly emotional. And so when you are stressed out about finances, when you're stressed out about the business, when you're stressed out about customers or clients, you have to focus and fight all those emotions that are raging inside of you to keep a level head and control what you can control and to keep expanding when you feel like contracting, okay? So number three is to go on offense. So look at and say, what can I do to improve my situation? This is where, if I can be quite honest, I get frustrated with a lot of entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs that are trying to get their foot in the door, trying to get in the entrepreneurial game. They think that just because they've started, it's going to be easy. They think just because they've started that it's going to come naturally. They think just because they've started that someone's going to come hand them a trophy, and that is not the case. You have to go on offense. You have to be aggressive. And so you don't have to have aggressive personality. You don't have to be intense all the time, but your actions need to be going on offense. So what does this mean from a sales standpoint? This means getting in front of as many people as humanly possible. This means responding quickly to all inquiries around the products that you sell. It means really focusing on and really hammering on what you can. There's elements of business that are outside of our control. For example, like December and January is when everybody is spending money on Christmas. They're recovering financially. They're trying to pay off their credit cards, and they don't have a lot of money to buy high-end furniture. So generally speaking, the biggest slump of the year is usually December to January. And so after that, spring rolls around, people are paying off their credit cards. They're starting to maybe accumulate a little bit of cash again. They're getting their tax refunds. We start seeing things pick up from a sales standpoint. That's something that's kind of outside of our control. That doesn't mean that we can't also push and go on the offense during that season. So number 3 was go on offense. Number 4 is get into your local community. Now, if you're a woodworking business owner and you're trying to sell, relationships are going to be key, and especially key in the slower seasons or the slumps that you've been in. Now, there's a lot of different ways to sell. Obviously, we've talked about so much on this channel. If you are new here, be sure to check out this channel. Make sure to like and subscribe so you can learn more on how to grow your woodworking business. But when it comes to the slow seasons or the times that you're in a slump, leaning on your relationships is going to be vital, incredibly important. So when we say getting into your local community, we talk about like joining your chamber of commerce, your local chamber of commerce. There's a couple clients inside of my program. I think they're joined to something called BNI. It's like Business Networking International or something like that. But getting connected with other business owners so that you can leverage contacts and grow your business in slow seasons is just going to be mission critical. It's going to be so important. Number 5 is establishing business partnerships. And so we just talked about this a little bit in number 4, but one of the ways that as a woodworking business owner that you can establish some really great business partnerships is through interior designers. Let me just say that, if you're selling just direct to consumer and you're trying to sell more each month, you're going to grow by addition. But let's say that you establish relationships with 20 to 30 interior designers. They're always working with multiple clients at a time. Then you're going to be growing by multiplication. You're not just going to be adding one client here or one client there, but you're adding a connection that may have 5 to 10 clients that you could start doing work for. And so establishing business partnerships is going to be critical, guys. It's going to be so important when it comes to really getting some traction inside of your business. And so number 6, this is the last point that I have for you today, and that is to focus on long-term branding improvements. And one of the things that I have found, guys, is that when I'm in a slump, usually it's because I don't have know, like, and trust like really mastered with my audience. And so if you're in a slump, you're having a really difficult time closing clients, you're having a really difficult time selling, generally it's because there's something about your brand or your reviews or lack thereof, or something about your presentation of who you are and what your brand is that people just aren't in love with. You want people to love who you are, what you represent, and if you can do that well, what you'll find is that you won't have a lot of these sales slumps. So just take a good hard look at your business as a whole and say, how can I improve my branding? How can I improve my presentation of who I am? How can I improve my language and my communication with my ideal target audience? And so if you'll do these 6 things, quick recap, get back to the basics, calm your nerves, go on the offense, get into your local community, establish business partnerships, and then focus on long-term branding improvements, you will get yourself out of a sales slump. 100% guarantee it. So with that being said, guys, if you are trying to grow your woodworking business, got some resources for you below. Number 1, Handmade Business Secrets ebook. It's completely free to you. Be sure to check that out. There's been over 1,200 people that have read that so far, and they have found a ton of value in it. Number 2 is if you are just getting started and you're really ready to make some legitimate money, check out the Handmade Hero Academy. We walk through how to pick winning products. We walk through how to build your own website, and we walk through how to launch your own ads to get you started with that, okay? So that's the Handmade Hero Academy. And lastly, if you're really looking to scale a production style woodworking business and take this to the next level, be sure to check out the Woodworking Business Accelerator program where I'm going to be working with you directly. We're going to be running your ads for you, bringing you leads, and then also being there to coach and consult for you as you run into any challenges that you have. So with that being said, guys, I love and appreciate your attention. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.